folks, how you doing? Hopefully you're hearing everything okay. Let me know in the chat if you are, or let me know in the chat if you're not. Just finished the gig. We just did the Christmas Carols gig, hence why I'm wearing this ridiculous looking shirt. One of the things we do is go and play Christmas carols. They're largely just jamming on these tunes, and we played in Carterton today. And so the brief is, wear the brightest shirt you've got. And I bought this at a Pacific Island shop, so it's Pacific Island clothing, and this was the smallest size they had, which is, it's like I'm swamped in it, and it's 3XL, the smallest size they had of this shirt. They go up to 10XL, because some of those boys are pretty big, you know what I mean? Not me though, but I bought it, and it's I used it on this Christmas Carols gig, and it's the kids like seeing us all dressed up in bright colours and what have you. And I took this guitar. I did a couple of little modifications on this guitar this morning. I thought I'm gonna take that to the gig and see how it goes, and it worked really great. The modification I did was I just put the bridge pickup up a little bit. It wasn't sitting in the right place; it was sitting too low. And I noticed if I went from the neck pickup, you always want the bridge pickup to be higher than the neck pickup and have a bit more grunt, because the neck pickup, obviously the string vibrates more at that point than it does down here, right? So that's going to pick up more note, just the nature of it, right? So I always want a hotter pickup here, which I do have. This one's about 1K hotter. So I think this is about 6.5, 7K, something like that. And this is about 7.5, 8K, whatever it is, you know. But they're low output P90s, they're not vintage spec. But I find that, you know, I couldn't get the pickup to come up, because with these, and there's no springs under P90s, they're pieces of foam. So I cut some foam up, and I took strings off. And the way I do that on this guitar is I actually just put a ruler underneath, a metal ruler underneath the bridge. And that keeps the bridge from moving. It'll just lock it in place, and then I can take the strings off, and I can do what needs to be done, then put it back on, and it seems to work pretty good. And the bridge will roughly go back in the same spot, you know, because once you tighten the strings back up, the roller will fall out, and you're good to go. But yeah, so I put two bigger pieces of foam in it, mean I could put the pickup a little closer, and it's still not really close, but it's closer. I mean, the balance is so much better now. Sounding bridge pickup, you know. And the thing that with pickups that is kind of interesting, I think, is that there's often this idea that if I put it down, it's going to get lower output, which is definitely the case, right? You get lower output, but you also lose a bit of brightness as that happens, you know, which in the neck position can be real nice, but in the bridge position, I want it to have a bit of bite, especially if I have a tone like, say, this. Sure that'll be clipping, but you get the idea. So it sounds great. You do have the single coil noise, right? But I've got two silent positions. And actually, funny thing is, on a Strat, I don't like that position 4, which is the neck in the middle. Just don't dig it. But on this guitar, sounds great. And because I love having the tremolo. I found myself actually using the tremolo on pretty much every song on the gig today. It was just, I think it works really well. Of course, we were playing Christmas carols, and you know, there's always there's always kind of corners to those tunes, you know. The classic one is whenever we have a sub on the band, especially the bass player, there'll be Winter Wonderland, you know, that tune, and it's like right, it's on. In the bridge. Right, that's a weird key change. See? Up to E major. And then it goes. Right, so essentially it goes to E major, then to G major, in terms of key changes, and back to C. So people go, Winter Wonderland, oh, that's got to be pretty straightforward. And it just isn't. Oh, hey, Simon, how you doing? Simon says, morning here, Nick. Good evening. It is 9:15. So a little late on the live stream, but that was because I got back from the gig. Should catch you for a while before my sound check in Cheltenham. Oh, nice. Big band gig at lunchtime. Nice one. One thing with single coil noise too is at the moment I've got my computer screens here and the pickups are pointing at that, and with P90s they're particularly noisy, you know, which makes sense because they're a single coil, but they've also got a big kind of magnetic field around it and all that. But can hear it change. Well, hopefully you can hear it. One thing I am thinking about doing this with this guitar though is think about having the neck grease sprayed again. You see it's got no finish on the back of the neck, and I'm finding every time I'm playing it I get to the end of the gig and my thumb feels kind of raw, you know, because it's raw wood on the back of it, and it's like kind of just, I find it kind of grippy too. It's just a little bit grippy. I much prefer a lacquered neck than fully sanded. You know, a little bit of sanding is fine. You know, I've done that with the guitars before if they're too glossy. I don't like gloss, but like a satin finish that's just a light finish. That's one thing. You might get it oversprayed with some just the neck part, because if I put my finger there, that's what I want that to feel like. You know what I mean? And that's polyurethane, I'd assume. I think that's what Porritt Smith were using in the 90s, early 2000s. But yeah, so just kind of spray that. But I might even do it myself. I'm pretty sure I could do it. I've sprayed lacquer before and it's not that hard. And you can get some good spray can stuff. So Simon says those P90s sound good. They do sound good, don't they? I'm really happy with this guitar now. The other thing I was thinking about doing is taking one of the springs out and readjusting the bridge and kind of taking a look, because 4 springs just feels a little bit of tension on the bridge. I'd like it a little looser. And these are 10 to 46, I think. Big thing about this guitar for me is just the way it makes me play. It's different than any other guitar, but I particularly like those in-between things. The P90s are the 2 pickups. Where's my level at? Touch. It's a bit loud. Save my hearing a little. I actually prefer that to just the bridge on its own. It's a good sound. Really suits that kind of sound, like sort of a punky rock kind of tone, a little bit, pretty aggressive. It was in tune when I bought it. I know, that's such an old dad joke. It's one bummer when you take the strings off like I did this morning and put them back on, because I'm too cheap to replace them. At least I won't replace them until they need replaced. That they do take a little while to kind of settle down again. But the one thing I find with this guitar is it makes me play a certain way, and I think that's what I like about it. And it was the reason I took it today, was because I adjusted this pickup. I wanted to check how it was working and seeing how it was going. I don't know if I've necessarily got it right, but it looks about right. Sitting closer to the strings now. It takes a bit to get used to how it looks. I keep looking down, and from this angle it looks like it's really close. But if I go like that slightly, now I go, oh no, actually it's not that close. But it's just, you know, you've seen a guitar so many times that you kind of get used to the look of it. So, yeah. But yeah, we were playing Christmas carols, and Christmas carols take a bit of, not as easy as you think. So Simon says with 3 pickups I miss bridge and neck, so I usually have that in place of 2 or 4 or 4. Yeah, this guitar actually came like that. When I first got it, it was wired to be neck and middle, and then no middle position. It was the 2 outside pickups. I got it just done like a Strat, because that's kind of what I was thinking. But actually, I found I used the middle pickup today a couple times. This neck pickup, they're not that dissimilar, right? The bridge is noticeably different. The big difference between that pickup and this particular guitar is this pickup just sounds like it's got less of that kind of low mid, which we did that song Fairy Tale in New York today. I'll do the same thing but with neck pickup. Sounds good, but you can see for that sort of part, it really suits the middle bit. Can you make your guitar sound like a bell for Jingle Bells? Funny you say that, because I played a big band gig the other day, and the arranger had written, I can't remember who wrote the arrangement, but it was, where is it? What would that be? Had written this to double with the violins on this. That wasn't a big gig. It was that recording session. Had to do that, and so I kind of lost my placement because I was doing it on acoustic guitar, and then had written these kind of this rhythm part that went. More. But on acoustic guitar, you know, kind of strummy like. Yeah, and then I had to get back to that harmonic, and I was like, there's no way I can go from this and go and get to that position as quickly as they wanted it, because it was like, there was no gap. They'd written strumming part right up to that harmonic, and going from strumming it in this position to harmonic, I need to move it to that finger and keep this for the harmonic, right? Something that my buddy Warren Mendonza talked about the other day too with this guitar. He had a question about it. And it made me think about it as something I hadn't thought about before, but on a Strat, you have your harmonics at the 12th fret, right? I'll go the bridge pickup, more sense. So you have 12th fret, then you have 7th fret, and then 5th fret, right? Right. But if you go to the neck pickup, the 5th fret don't sound. And that's because, he was saying it was because the 12th fret, right, and then where the 24th fret harmonic would be is right where your pickup is. So it kind of cancels that 5th fret harmonics on the neck pickup, right? But you go to the bridge pickup, because now it's active there. Or any other pickup, really. If I go to the middle pickup, yeah, they come through a little bit, but not much. So, yeah. If you've just joined me, please like the video. And if you haven't subscribed, what are you doing? Because I do daily videos here on YouTube. And every week Sunday I do this live stream, which is just kind of just play and talk about music and whatever I've been up to. So it's been a busy week, actually. So Monday and Tuesday I had that NZSO recording, New Zealand Symphony Orchestra, and with this pop opera type singer, Will Martin, which was good. Came out pretty good. That was the gig that I said 99% of guitarists couldn't do. Funny enough, we were supposed to have a conductor. I don't know what happened, but there was no conductor. So the piano player was playing and conducting while he was playing. So he was kind of going like this, and then he'd go, which made it even harder because some of us couldn't really see him very well. Some of the string players were facing forward, behind, kind of in front of the piano, and then he'd conduct all the rubato sections and stuff, but the stuff that was in time we were all going off, whereas piano was being played. So that kind of in some ways was harder than having a conductor, but we got it together and it worked. So I had that Monday, Tuesday, then I had Wednesday rehearsal, then I played the carols on Thursday, Blues Club on Friday. What did I do Saturday? And then we did a carol show in the afternoon, late afternoon, and then I did a covers band gig last night. Something I haven't done in a long time. For a function. It was really bizarre. It was a bizarre kind of thing. It was with backing tracks, which is something I hardly ever do, like never. So with another guitar player and who sings background vocals, and then a lead singer, and I sing a little bit of background vocals in that band. But it was yeah, so I did that, and that was I was shattered by the end of that. And then we just did the Christmas carols that week, so it was, yeah. Oh, so Martin Sutcliffe says, watch the video with that BB guy. Oh, yeah. Do you find it interesting how Tom and those guys never mention Brett Garsed when they sound and even play so much like him? But Beebs, or David Beebe, did actually mention Brett Garsed in that video, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure he did, about the legato thing and about how he checked him out and kind of come from there. I don't know if Tom Quayle ever does. I don't think I've seen Tom Quayle really talk about his influences or where he's kind of got things from so much. But I'm pretty sure that Tom Quayle has probably got a lot of that from Brett Garsed, because how could you not, right? I mean, he was the master of that kind of playing. Still is. And that guy's ridiculous. Australian. For those who don't know, Brett Garsed, great guitar player. I first heard of him on some of those John Farnham hits. John Farnham's a great, for those that don't know, great Australian kind of powerhouse rock singer. And Brett Garsed played on some of his tunes and stuff. And yeah, but what a phenomenal player Brett is. And I think he lives in Los Angeles these days, but man, that guy can really play. Yeah, he is a great slide player, isn't he? He was, I think he played on, was he the one that played on that Natalie Imbruglia hit, the Torn, I think it's called. Sorry, excuse me 1 sec, I'm just going to close that door. Hear the family coming home. it's going to be chaos here. That's what happens when you have a teenager in the house. It's all good though. So I thought I'd just close the door just before that. Five says, when I was a kid, I didn't realize the guitar player on You're the Voice actually shredded. It's crazy, isn't it? Like, when it comes to doing sessions, I was watching Tom Bukovac talk about this today, and it kind of mirrored my experience of doing sessions. Most sessions I do, to be honest, I'm using 30% of what I can do. And it seems crazy, doesn't it? Like, I remember talking to a student about it one time, and we got talking about the Tina Turner gig, and I said, it'd be fun to do something like that one day. I think she's great. She's not around anymore, but at the time I was like, do a tour, or an arena tour with someone like that. And it was an ability that I think, was in the wrong country. Yeah, anyway. But he was saying, the student said, well, why does she need to pay so much money for those musicians? Couldn't she just get whoever and pay them less money? And I thought, well, no, she wants to have the best players, even if they're playing below their full capabilities. The whole idea is that they'll absolutely nail the simple parts. And that's a lot of what sessions are, it's about nailing the simple parts. And it's actually way harder than you think a lot of the time, right? You might think, this is a really simple kind of strumming part. But you get in the studio and all of a sudden it's like a microscope on your playing, and it's and all the little details become really noticeable. Even things like kind of where you're strumming, how you're strumming, if you're playing a strumming part, what kind of tone have you got, how even is it, does it rhythmically feel good? All these things really matter. And you might get away with it on a live gig because you can kind of hack through it or whatever, as some musicians do. But then when you're in the studio, it's a whole different thing. So someone like Brett Garr said, he's got to be able to play at this level in order to be able to record something like You're the Voice, which is at this level in terms of his abilities. I hope that makes sense. Oh, Martin says, Brett moved back to Aussie several years ago, got sick of starving playing fusion and got back in Farnham Band. Started doing TV shows. Says he somehow didn't think to do the Sideman thing in LA. Oh, interesting. I actually worked with one of John Farnham's guitar players a bit back in the day. A guy called, we used to call him Chet, but his name was Stuart Fraser. And Stu was, did that soul album that John Farnham did, and Stu was the guitar player in a great Aussie band with John Stevens, who's a Kiwi. They had a band called Noiseworks together, and unfortunately Stu passed away last year or the year before of throat cancer, which is I think what got John Farnham as well. But he was in Farnham's band for a number of years, and also a very fine guitar player. Stu was a real interesting one, real rocker, but he had he was one of the first guys I ever saw that played a Paul Reed Smith too. He, or at least in terms of a certain type of Paul Reed Smith. And I remember we did a gig with John Stevens here. For those who don't know, John Stevens is a great New Zealand singer that's based in Australia now and has been for a while. John and Stu started Noiseworks together, but he was also the In Excess singer who took over after Michael Hutchins passed away and did those tours. But he was also working with Slash, and he's a bit of a legend, really, John. But yeah, me and Stu played some gigs with John, and he had a Paul Reed Smith hollow body. One of the hollow body 2s, I think it was, that had the piezo pickup under the bridge, and he could take one guitar and have an output that was acoustic and then an output that was electric, and just on the one guitar. It made touring a lot easier, you know what I mean? Yeah. But I didn't know that Brett Garr was living back in Australia. That's cool. There's some great Australian guitar players. Man. They often don't get a lot of international kind of notoriety because, it's much like New Zealand. There's some really good players here too, but we're on the other side of the world to where a lot of stuff is happening in terms of that stuff. Like if you look at Downbeat, I remember my friend Bruce Foreman telling me that, if you want to be, like how often do you see people on the cover of Downbeat who don't live in New York? And I thought, yeah, he's right? And that's what Downbeat's kind of focused on, is American music, and even more specifically because he lives in LA. He was like, you still got to be in New York to be part of that scene, to be, to get notoriety. And same thing with Australia, some really great guitar players over there. I mean, James Muller sounds killer. Steve Magnuson, Steve's a really great guitar player from Melbourne. Who else is there? James Avani, if you guys don't know him, you should go and check out James Avani. That dude's crazy good. I've been checking out his playing for a long time. It's sort of a rock metal type guitar player. Has a custom signature Sir guitar. Gets a great sound. Has really interesting stuff with keyboards. Who else is in Australia? There are a heap of great guitar players over. Peter Koopman's over there now. He's a Kiwi. He's living in Sydney. Who else do I know in the Australian scene? Oh, so many. I mean, people like... I think Keith Urban's Australian, isn't he? Yeah, James Norbert Avani. Yeah, he's great, isn't he? We've been following each other for a long time and often talk about stuff and that. And he was like, man, come and hang out in Australia sometime. So I'm going to have to do that. I'm going to have to get over to Sydney and go and hang with him and pick his brain and steal everything that guy does, because he's awesome. And then, of course, Leon Todd, amazing player. Troy Naberbaum, who does the Gear podcast with Leon. He's also a great, really good guitar player. Big fan of Troy's playing, big fan of Leon's playing. There's so many. There's some really great Australian guitar players, you know. Jed Hughes, I think, is Australian too, even though he lives in Nashville now. It's funny how a lot of Australian musicians end up in Nashville. Pardon me. I can kind of see why, you know. Says how I found Peter Koopman because of a gent metal project he did with Jake Lowe. Plenty's touring. Oh, Scodatura. That's right. Yeah. With Tim Firth, I think, plays drums in that band. Well, Pete. I've known Pete Koopman for ages. He was from Auckland, and he used to come down and take lessons with me. And actually, I remember at one stage he came down and he stayed with me for a week, because he was like, oh, I'd said, you know, if you're ever in Wellington, we've got a spare room at our house. You're welcome. You just have to put up with my family, which will be super annoying. and he did. He came down and I think he stayed for like a week or maybe 5 days or something. And we ended up just playing guitar in the living room, watching TV and hanging out. And he's such a cool cat. I like Pete. And great player. He's from a musical family. His father's also called Peter Koopman, and from a really good New Zealand band. I think his father's on Waiheke Island or somewhere like that, just off Auckland. If you just joined me, please like the video. And if you haven't subscribed, please do. It's funny, I don't really feel like playing that kind of jazz stuff on this guitar. It sort of doesn't inspire that from me. It's sort of, I don't know. I mean, I can do it, especially if I had to. I'd probably go. Even then, it's too sparkly. It's better, but with the mic off. But even then, I just don't feel like playing that on this guitar. This guitar kind of wants me to. I want to play stuff like kind of like feel like playing. To me, single coil guitars feel like rhythm guitars. Do you know what I mean? Like, I just feel like playing rhythm stuff when I play these single coil guitars, because this does sound very Strat-like, you know. Now it's kind of like Rory McCartney, a local bass player in town and guitar tech. When he first heard this guitar, he said to me, because you know I first met him 15 years ago or something, and he said at the time I was playing this guitar when we first met, and he described this guitar as sounding like a fat Strat. It's kind of what it is, right? Particularly good with this kind of tone. blues kind of thing. I kind of wish I had a volume pedal, and then because often I find with single coil guitars, I like to have a volume pedal. I just haven't set it up yet because I just came straight from the gig, came straight in to do this. But having a volume pedal means I can kind of hide the noise that you get, and I could go to the noise lead. One of the hum cancelling positions, but nah, I won't. I'm going to play a tune. I haven't played anything yet. Let's do that. I feel like, because this feels like a blues guitar, I'm going to play some blues. Hopefully this is plugged in. And by blues, I mean my kind of take on blues. Let's have a look at this. If you've just joined, I was saying that I took this to a gig today, a Christmas Carol gig, because I just adjusted the bridge pickup and put a couple better pieces of foam under there. And now, really does, the bridge pickup does sound really good. Joshua says hello from Canada. Hello from Wellington, New Zealand. Hope you're well. Hopefully I'll get sound from this in a minute. So I have my iPad here just out of screen where I'm where I play tracks from YouTube. So yeah, this is called John Schofield Funky Blues Guitar Backing Track in B flat from the Jam Tracks channel. Yeah, I like that. I like their tracks, and this is a good one. Actually, I've used this track before, so hopefully we'll have sound in a second. There we go. Don't know what the balance is like. We'll soon see. Yeah, it's a fun track. I like that one. Greetings from Maryland, USA. Oh, great. Isn't it? That's where Porrid Smith are from, right? I remember going to dinner with Peter Erskine and Dennis Chambers, who two fantastic players. And I was talking to Dennis Chambers, and he said, I live in Maryland. And I was like, oh, that's where Porrid Smith guitars come from. And he goes, yeah, I play in Paul's band. I was like, oh, there you go. Dennis Chambers. Crazy. Oh, thank you. Yeah. Thanks, Jaden. And thanks, Simon. So you're about 40 minutes from where PRS is. So I was watching on the trip over the hill, because I played in Carterton today, so you have to go over this Rumataka hill. It was really feels like a small mountain to me, but it's this windy, horrible road. So I put my phone on and I just was listening to, well, I say watching, I wasn't really watching, but I was YouTube, and I put on Guthrie Trapp and Tom Bukovac with Rick Beato, that chat that they did. And Guthrie Trapp played this thing on a dominant chord, and I was like, how the hell did I not know that? Glad you can make it, Simon. Thank you for being here. And Guthrie did this thing, and I was like, I can't believe I didn't think of that before. So on a dominant chord, say we have a D7 chord, D9, this sort of chord, and he was talking about playing the major chord, which I do, right? That thing, right? I do that. But there was one that he talked about, which was playing, going up a fifth, playing the minor, and doing the cliche descending thing, right? Beginning of Stairway to Heaven, which basically is a minor with a major 7, A minor 7, A minor 6, but over a dominant chord. Pretty cool, right? Because A minor would get you D9, and then D9 but with a flat 5 or sharp 11, sus, resolution. If I move it up to E, it's a cool sound, isn't it? No, different thing, Simon. Yeah, he does do it in Oya Come Over. Simon says Santana does that in Oya Come Over. No, well, in Oya Come Over, it's A minor to D7, but Santana's not thinking it over the dominant chord. If I think the part I'm thinking you mean, it's, but that's over the A minor to take you to the D9. It's sort of, what he's doing is sort of built off a Montuno, right? Yeah. That sort of thing, right? I mean, lots of people use that line cliche. Don't get me wrong. Like I said, it's in Stairway to Heaven. But I'm not talking about using it as a minor chord, right? Because if you're using it as A minor, it's nothing particularly special, right? It's a line cliche. But when you put that over the top of the D, so over a dominant chord. So if we were here, alright, we'll get you that sound. I'd never thought of doing that over the top of a dominant chord, so it was like, oh wow, okay. You know, it's funny, isn't it? I've been playing guitar since I was 10 years old, so that's now 36 year playing guitar. Holy heck! And I played piano for 5 years before that. But yeah, it's you still find new things out about it. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's not the same as While My Guitar Gently Weeps. No, that's not over a dominant chord. Yeah, but that line cliche comes up all over the place. Another common line cliche is that, you know, don't know how that would work over a dominant chord up a fifth, but maybe. Martin says, any good cheats for bullshitting through Sunny? Yeah, there is something you can do with the Sunny thing. So depending on which key you play it in, but say you played it in, I don't know, let's do it in D flat major. I know that's not a common key, but that was one that I used to do with a singer. No, let's do what's that? F, right? So first chord will be A minor. Basic gist of it, right? So what kind of PRS is your guitar? This is a custom 22 soap bar. I think it's 2001 by the serial number. So very early days of Paul Reed Smith. The serial number is actually written in pen, you know, which probably could rub out or something, just written in pen. These were all largely handmade, I think, in those. Those were very early CNC, you know, if they were at all. So still a lot of handwork on them, and they were really expensive at the time. I've had it for a long time. I think I got it in 2004, 2005. So it was a few years old when I got it. Bought it secondhand. So yeah, but the way to bullshit your way through that, right? You don't really want to bullshit your way through anything, but if you have to, right? Think of the first chord as A minor as its own thing, right? And then 2, 5, 1, right? So that's whatever you know on F major 2, 5, 1. You're good to go on those, right? And then E7 brings you back to the A minor. So really that's just 5 to 1. Right? So if we think about that and we kind of break that down, we could go A minor. If you haven't liked the video, please like. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Got to say that because people don't. You'd be surprised. They sit there and they're kind of just absorbing instead of, you know, so sorry if I'm repeating myself, but A minor, right? Let's just skip that for the minute and let's go 2, 5, 1. Easy way of doing that is just play the 5 chord. Go C7 to F, right? F major. And then whatever you play over the C7 will work over the G minor as well, right? That's a good way to do it. And then here, whatever you play on the 5 chord will lead you to the A minor. 5, 1. So really you're talking about A minor and then F major, right? And so on and so on. And then there's that one part of the form where it goes and then it goes to a B flat 7. Right, that one you're going to have to play the scale. And the thing with dominant chords like that is whenever you have a dominant chord, you got two types of dominant chords. You've got dominant chords that are 5 to 1, meaning they go home, and dominant chords that don't. In this case, it goes B flat and then it goes back up to B. So it's not going 5 to 1. That would take us to E flat. I know I'm going quickly, but let me know in the chat if I need to explain any of this further. If you have a dominant chord that doesn't go home, the easiest way to do it is to play Lydian dominant. And if you don't know that, I think I did a video already on it in Guitar Daily, so check back on that one. But a cheat way of getting through that chord too is think F, go up a fifth, and play the melodic minor. Right, and then you have a minor 2, 5, 1 to get you back to there. So that's what I would suggest in terms of harmony, in terms of way to break it down. The real cheat for learning any tune is learn the tune. If you know the melody, a lot of it just all makes sense, right? You won't get lost in the form. Because one thing I find with a lot of songs is people go, oh, I got lost in the form. But if you know how the melody goes, then you won't get lost because you're singing it in your head. The other thing too is if you learn the melody, and like by learn it, I mean really learn it, what happens is your improvising will be based off the melody instead of just being a whole lot of random shit. You know what I mean? It's like, and we want when we improvise, we want to know that that's the fifth, right? going to the fifth. Yeah, so I kind of look at it that way, like learn the melody, learn it in a few keys, that always helps, right? Just get my wallet out of the pocket. Learning stuff in a few keys really helps because you're now having to look at its function in relation to the chords. Strat Slinger says, any tips for expanding chord toolbox? How to memorize as many as you can? Okay, so what I would say with chords, if you're wanting to get more chords into your vocabulary, is I would say I don't think it's ever really a good idea to know thousands and thousands of chords and only know how to use them once. To me, that doesn't make a lot of sense, right? To me, it makes more sense if I know like this chord, I want to be able to use it in lots of different ways. So that's how I look at all chords, right? Is how can I take it and expand it as far as possible. So if I learn a new chord voicing, I don't know, what's a new, can't think of one I've learnt new lately, but say something like, say G major 7, like what was new. I'd want to know, like, okay, I know what that chord is. Where can I use it? Well, now I know I can take it up to C, right? I could move it into A, all these other keys. But what is it about that makes that work, right? If you think about it, kind of looks like that. So B minor and G major are the exact same thing. G major 7, I should say. G major 7 and B minor are the same thing. But so B minor over G and G major 7 are the same thing. And then you start going, well, how many voicings of B minor do I know? Well, one. Maybe you know this one. Now you've got three versions of G major 7. You've got 1, 2, 3. And just by taking something and kind of expanding on like a simple kind of concept, like kind of really analyzing what's going on in that chord, I figured out, well, B minor over G gives me a whole lot more voicings I could use, whichever particular B minor voicings I might know. And remember, we don't have to play full chords, so we could play this, but we could also play this. Now we've got 2 more voicings of G major 7, or this. It doesn't have to be this, because I probably wouldn't play that anyway, but now I got 1 more voicing, maybe that voicing, maybe that voicing, maybe that voicing. You need the triads, or wherever you particularly know it. Then you start going, well, okay, now I know 1, 2, 3, 4, right? And then 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And that's just like the very simplest triads that I came up with 12 versions of the G major 7 chord, right? 12 different versions just by using triads, like the simplest of voicings. And by doing that, now instead of having to know a million things, I just need to know B minor over G. Gives me that. And now all the voicings I know for B minor start becoming deeper and deeper with other connections, right? But we can also put that into other keys, right? So say I'm playing a song that's in C major. Well, now I know if I go up a third and I play E minor, who would have thought that that bog standard E minor could be a C major 7 voicing? It totally could, right? But so could this. And all of a sudden you've got all these more chords. So that's what I would say, like with chords, like don't worry about trying to memorize a million things. Really analyze what's going on, try and figure it out, try and take that information and make it go as broadly as possible. Jade says like A6 equals F minor 7. F sharp minor 7. Sorry, I read that as F minor 7. You're right. You're right. Right, those are the same thing. All right, so we have the minor third of F. That's going to be the root. That's the 5th. Yeah, exactly. And all the permutations of that. And all chords, really, when you think about it, if they're a 7th note chord, it's a 4-note chord, right? So any 4-note chord could be a triad, 3 notes plus some other bass note. All of them. right? So then once you start looking at that, you start going, oh, well, now that information that I got from G, B minor over G can become way broader if I start looking at all the seventh chords that I know, like G minor 7 or G dominant 7, or say G7 flat 5, or major 7, you know what I mean? And then once you start getting into ninth chords, right, 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, well, that could be a triad, 3 notes plus 2 underneath it. Or it could be a note underneath, a triad in the middle, and another note on top. And that's if you're looking at triads. Or it could be a 7th chord plus 1 root note. Or it could be a 7th chord and 1 note above. You see what I mean? Where the stuff can start getting really broad very quickly. And that's just dealing with triads and closed position too. Once you start getting into things like these sort of voicings, you know, where you're spreading them out. Right. Those are all G major 7 voicings. And you start to see that, wow, gee, this can go very far really quick, right? And that's the way I kind of like to approach guitar. But to me, it's like everything always comes back to melody. So I'm always looking at what the melody is, and that kind of makes sense of a lot of things, always, right? So if I'm playing a tune and I know the chords are G major 7 and I know the melody note is the 5th on top, well, that gives me a lot of power to sort of explore chords. And then once I explore those chords, I put them into songs. And then once I put them into those songs and in new permutations of those songs, then all of a sudden that's when you really absorb stuff, right? Because if you just do anything as a theoretical concept, that's how it's going to stay. It's just going to be a theoretical concept. But if you put it into real music and you start making music with it, then that's when you get cool stuff happening, right? Because it's actual music. I'm going to play another track. The next one queued up, same thing. By the way, too, with this guitar, I always find that it's not the easiest guitar to play. This guitar kind of makes me work for it, which I don't know if is necessarily a good thing, but it is what it is. But, you know. So this is New Orleans Funk Blues guitar backing track in C from the Jam Tracks channel again. Because it was literally the next track queued up. I know I'm in C. I've probably played to this one. I'm sure I must have. So let's see how it goes. I like their tracks. I think they're good ones. Someone just texted me on my phone, or messaged me. It was Steve Sherry. If Steve is watching this, I should put that on Do Not Disturb. And silly. So I got a notification. Steve Sherry, the guitar player friend, lives in the UK now, but lived in New Zealand for a while. We played some gypsy jazz gigs together and stuff. And so it came up with that. And of course, whenever you get a notification on your iPad, it brings the audio level down to. So I was like, why'd the backing track drop? Oh, there we go. Bit of fun. You can hear it, it's sounding much more balanced now that I've put that pickup up. I'm really happy with it. And it seems to have enough spring. It's sitting there nicely. It's not, yeah. Hopefully that, it's a weird way for a P90 pickup to mount, to have the foam underneath it to hold it in place. I always thought that was odd, you know what I mean? Because foam is one of those things that is sort of, over time it's just going to compress and change. And also too, the other thing with foam is that it breaks down. So if you see any old P90 pickups, like in an old Gibson or something, you'll take it out and all the foam often's crumbled and turned to crap, you know what I mean? So it's a funny way of doing it. I suppose one of the good things is it kind of isolates the pickup a little bit. It doesn't feed back as much, maybe. I don't know. But I do like P90s. I think P90s are a really underrated pickup, if you ask me. They are noisy. It's one of the things you have to deal with, but they have a certain thing. One Man Band says, morning, can only stay a couple of minutes. Man, well, I'm glad you're here. No, smiley face, you're here. Oh, good day, Zal. Good morning. Well, it's probably not morning where you are, actually. It's, time is it now? 10:05. One thing I always liked about this guitar was the volume control was right where I want it. Sometimes strats can be too close and you kind of end up hitting it. This one seems to be just in the right place. But I'm not particularly a fan of these knobs. These are like the Gibson style ones. These are the ones that came on it, and they work. But I prefer the top hat type. So I probably will change this. But that's one thing I do like with this guitar, was having that in the right place. Deuteronomy says, were you ever an Ebo fan? Yeah, I do like Ebos. I have one somewhere. Oh, can I get it? Just. There we go. There's my Ebo. Really cool device. I stuck a little sticker on the side here. That's a little tip for you, because one side is the harmonic. It produces the harmonic, one side's the normal, and I found that, you know, pick it up and I'd be like, which is which, and I'd be having to play for a little while until I could kind of figure it out. But yeah, I do like it. So there's all these little tricks you can do, kind of slide across the strings and stuff. I bought it for the show Wicked, which has the guitar part in that is a ball buster, believe me. It's 7 instruments. And when I did that show, I put my foot down. I was like, I said, I'll bring 6. Like, and even that's ridiculous. Because nobody's going to hear, like, the 7th instrument, the one I refused on, was a 12-string acoustic, because I didn't have one. And also, too, if you play a 12-string acoustic, they just kill your arm. you're pushing down 2 sets of strings on an acoustic guitar. So I was like, nobody's going to notice that in one song that it's missing or whatever, and I just did it on acoustic, and that was fine. But yeah, it has lots of EBO in that show, and it's kind of stressful if anyone's played Wicked before. So the other thing that's a must for doing that show is a music stand like this. So I took my own music stand, and see, it's got that little tray thing on it. You can see that. And the reason that's a must is because you've sometimes got one bar where you're going from EBO to pick. You've got to be able to play the EBO stuff and then put your EBO down really quick. So I just put it straight on the thing there. And of course I drop it now. But I just put it straight on there. And then I'm back playing. Right? And the amount of these that get broken, because they're plastic. They're crap, really, when you think about it. They're great sound, but they're plastic. And so, if you drop it on the ground, it's going to get broken. So you've got to have a little shelf like that to put your EBO on, and that's what this stand does. And these are one of the greatest things for musicians too. This is like an eraser. So it has a... Alright. Because you get to the end of a theatre show season and you've got all your markings and you want to get it done quickly, so you just like... Instead of like a normal one which falls out of your hand and drops and just slows the whole process down. So nobody wants to spend any longer on that than they have to. Oh, Simon says, I was checking out your gig with Neil on harmonica earlier. You played some great fast repetitive licks, if you know what I mean. I've never really built a repertoire of blues licks. Oh, thank you. Thanks for watching that. Yeah, that was a fun gig. There's I record all of the gigs now most of the time. 90% of them I do on a little GoPro. I've got a couple, GoPro type thing. I got a couple of these DJI Osmo Actions, and the one I used the other night was the Action 5. I have the Action 3 as well. These are fantastic. They kick ass over GoPros because GoPros suck. Reasons GoPros suck, I have 4 or 5 GoPros on the wall back there, and I hardly ever use them. GoPros don't connect with the app very well. They're crappy in low light, which is music, and they're mono sound. I want stereo sound. So these, anyway. So I filmed it, and I was watching back on a bunch of it with the gig with Neil, and it came out pretty good, actually. The band it's a killing band. And the thing is, like, it was Elliot playing bass that just blew my mind that night. Some of the stuff he plays is so funky, and his bass playing is like, he just lifts the whole band when he plays. And it's such an interesting thing, because he's like a construction worker, builder type person. So he's out there digging ditches and lifting stuff, and, he's built like a brick shit house, and when he plays, he might not touch his bass all week, and then he'll pick it out and pull it out and play the funkiest shit you ever heard. It's like right in the pocket. It's just like, poof. And you watch him play, and it's like it's effortless. He's not even trying at all, and it'll sound like some Tower of Power type thing, and you just go, what? And it makes such a difference in a band like that, and Neil and I were talking about that the other night, that it's quite good that we can do that gig as a 4-piece, because we used to do it as a 5-piece with a keyboard player too. And in a lot of ways, I'd rather not have a keyboard player than have someone who can't really play. Do you know what I mean? I'd rather have no keyboard than have someone there who's weak. But more important than the drummer, I'd say for me it's like a combination of the two. But I know what you mean in a lot of ways, right? Because if the bass sucks, the whole gig sucks, right? But if the drummer sucks, the whole gig sucks too, right? Avi says, good morning from Dallas, Texas. Dallas, Texas. I am new to guitar. Okay, new to guitar, great. Any questions, let me know. But it's, those guys were killing it. And I think it's because, strong drums and bass, then I can kind of do my thing and it makes it easy. And the other thing too is you go somewhere and those guys are right with it. So if you get a chance, watch that clip that we did of Oyo Como Va, and just try and shut out what I'm playing and just listen to the bass playing in it, because it's ridiculous what he plays. It's partly why I posted that clip. I mean, I thought I had some moments too, whatever they were, but the bass playing was just killer. Interesting thing with this guitar too. It's got a treble bleed on the tone control, volume control. Elliot, I first met Elliot when he was playing in South Side of Bombay, which is a New Zealand band that had a big hit with a tune called "What's the Time, Mr. Wolf," which was, if you've seen the movie Once Were Warriors, which is a pretty hard-hitting New Zealand movie about, watch it if you haven't seen it. It's kind of dark, and it's unfortunately a lot of Kiwis know people that act like that. Treat their children badly, but nonetheless, that song was the hit from that album. But Elliot was in that band, and that's where I first met him. But here's one funky mofo. So Martin says, speaking of New Orleans, Shane Theriot is getting busy on YT on YouTube. He's one guy who truly gets New Orleans funk rhythm guitar dead on. Yeah, he does. He sounds really good. Yeah, I think you're right, Zal. It is endemic of behaviour in New Zealand, and not all Kiwis. It's a small proportion. But if you haven't seen that movie, then they'll give you some insights into how some people act. No. So Strat Slinger says, hey, take it you're playing the backing tracks through your studio monitors. Any way to play them through the Fender FR10, i.e. so I can play BTS and guitar? No, at the moment I've got my in-ears in. If you can see them, these are just cheap ones that I keep in my studio here. I've got my better ones, which are Shure's, and even then they're not that particularly great. I don't like wearing in-ears, but I have to for this because I don't like having headphones on when I do these live streams. I think it looks ridiculous. And also, you can't wear headphones with this hat. I just happen to have it. See what I mean? So so I have to wear in-ears. In this case, which always makes it tough because, but I'm used to these now and I know what they do. And it's really, if I'm playing to a backing track, it's fine. I know what's going to happen, and there's not really interaction between me and the backing track, so it doesn't really matter as much. But on a gig, if I'm trying to interact with musicians, I hate wearing in-ears because it's different. But I think you can put backing tracks to it somehow for the FR10, maybe. But most of the time I don't even set up my Fender FR10. It's just sitting in the hallway waiting to go to the gig. Ohad says, I recently got a Tele from 93 and now I don't touch my other guitar. It's funny how that works, isn't it? If you get a new guitar, you kind of end up just playing that new guitar, and all the other ones kind of get a look in for a little while, right? But it's an interesting thing. Is I remember a buddy of mine saying, don't ever sell any of your guitars. He's like, because one day you'll want to go back to them, and it's definitely true, right? Had I sold this guitar at some point, which I probably could have, maybe, I don't know, I'd be regretting it right now, right? Even though there was a while there where I really wasn't happy with this guitar. There was things about it that I was kind of going, yeah. But then when I got the new pickups put in and got the wiring put back how it should be, it just came to life. All right, and now I'm really happy with the sound of this guitar. It sounds like a Strat but fatter. Good by me. AVIAKI says, what are your finger exercises to start with for beginners? Yeah, I mean, do the warm-up exercise. If you have a look back through my channel, you'll see there's some warm-up exercises, but one I do is... Oh, thanks for tuning in, Simon. Right, this. Just 1, 2, 3, 4. Same on the next string. That's what I do to warm up and then go backwards. You don't have to do it fast, do it at your speed. Right, so on and so on. The key to that is, like, a lot of beginners will go, or they'll go, and it's really uneven. Try and get it. Right, because the guitar's a percussive instrument when you think about it, right? You're taking a plastic, a nylon, whatever the particular pick you're using, but you're hitting something against a string, right? A metal string. So it's easier to play notes short with anything that's percussive like that. It's harder to play them long. So therefore, it's like you want to work on getting all the notes long. And play with a good tone, make sure your tone's right, and then do that. But I mean, even to start with, you could just do it on 2 strings. Do it on the B string and the E string. do it backwards. I always find this guitar is not the easiest to play, you know, but I quite like that about it. It sort of makes me play a certain way, because I know I can't go for things I can go for on my other PRS, so I'll play within my means a little more. My DGT is definitely plays much easier. Make sure to alternate pick on the spider. What's the spider? But yeah, I do alternate pick for sure. Down, up, down, up, down, up. Yeah, I was thinking about the hand mechanics, like something I do actually keep my fingers open slightly a little bit. I know some people have this idea that you have to keep your hand closed, but I don't know if that's true. You know, you can do that, you can do that. The main thing is just not to be resting. You don't want to be resting and doing that, pivoting off your hand, that's bad. You want your hand loose and free to, you know. And the key way to tell kind of where your hand should be to play fast in that instance is take a C note, any note, right, and just tremolo pick, and just see where your hand naturally wants to fall to do that, right? It doesn't want to be like this. I can't do that. It's this motion, right? It's weird to kind of think about that, right, in terms of hand mechanics, but that's the way I kind of think about it, and you know, it's worked out okay for me. Anyway, folks, I'm going to have to go in a minute. It's been 73 minutes. I normally only do these for about an hour, but it's kind of getting stuck into some things. So, yeah, but I'll just start with it. Simple kind of play up and down your scales until that kind of feels comfortable. Whatever you can do to kind of get your fingers used to moving. Learn some tunes. That's the best thing for beginners, I think, is learn some tunes, even if it's just something simple, you know. Ah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. Oh, that 1, 2, 3. What you're doing is called the spider exercise. Well, it's interesting. I've never called it that, but yeah, I guess that makes sense, right? Kind of looks like a. I'm going to remember that. That's called the spider exercise from now. I got that from a Steve Vai 10-hour workout that was in Guitar Player years ago. That was one of the ones. And I just kind of adapted it. So I just took it there and just went up backwards. I don't remember if that's what's in the Steve Vai thing. Thank you for joining me. I appreciate it. Appreciate you all being here. So, yeah. So thanks very much. I do this every Sunday. It's my live stream day. Usually try sometime around 6:30 to 8 Wellington time, Wellington, New Zealand. But I had a gig tonight, so it was a little later in the day. But I live stream every Sunday. I post videos every day. Try and do a couple of shorts every week. I quite like doing the shorts, you know what I mean? To start with, I sort of thought, I don't know that I wanted to be doing shorts, but I quite like the shorts. It's kind of a little snippet, do a little thing of, you know, get some information out there, or post a little thing that hopefully someone will get something out of. So this is another avenue, and my kind of thing too is I know some people are like, I don't want to do shorts in my YouTube and that, and I'm like, well, however people want to check it out. So go with me. If you want to see shorts, I'll make some shorts. If you want to watch long content, I'll make long content. Like, whatever. As long as people are getting something from it, I'll keep doing it. So thanks very much, people. I'll see you tomorrow with some more videos. Cheers.